Hey everybody, it is video 2, and one of the things that I told you guys that I would work on or show you is the way that I put on makeup. I do what I call spot check makeup. I think that, um, especially with men, not necessarily women, but it applies to women as well, people put on like way too much makeup, you know? From a very young age, I personally have worn makeup. I've always had like hyperpigmentation like these, and like all this, and then kind of like dark in the corners of my eyes. And it's always made me a bit self-conscious, so I think makeup was the first way of me being able to kind of cover these things up and feel a little bit better about myself. So when I do makeup, I always use my fingers. Right now I am using a sample from Sephora. This is the brand called Milk. I also use their eyebrow pencil. I have found that it's great. It's really good for me because, as I've told you guys before, I am like allergic to a million and one things. And one of the things that I've noticed in makeup is that typically they use soy in it. Again, soy is like a huge filler. A lot of people use it to fill a bunch of different products. I mean fill, like it it they'll use soy flour, they'll use different iterations of soy to change the viscosity of things, or just to spread the product so that the product lasts a lot longer, or you get a lot more product for a lower price. The thing that I like about this Milk brand is it seems that they're like trying to do something that is lower in allergens, you know, or just in general a little bit better on people. So yeah, so when I do my spot checking, essentially what I do is I just find the dark spots, my little hyperpigmentations, and I hit them with a little bit of concealer. And so I'll put it on there. I'll just put them right on, right? And I just let them kind of sit for a little bit. And this is just me. The reason that I do this method as opposed to like a full face of makeup is that especially being a man, I think that, and growing up in when I grew up in, I was born in 1984, which means that I am arguably on like kind of the first or the beginning of the millennial wave. And I think it was Generation Y was right behind us, or right ahead of us. They were not as open, and then we have, the baby boomers, etc., and they also are not as open when it comes to thinking about like men doing things that people consider are culturally more feminine. So I have always worn makeup in the spot method because I've found that when I do my makeup in the spot method, it's like a lot less, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot less apparent. Like people can't tell. So this is the process that I use every time. I spot check, I put it on my dark spots. I don't do any of the lighter dark spots, just because I find it's not necessary, and the more makeup you have on, the easier it is for people to tell you have makeup on. And then I will normally take my eyebrow pencil, being of half Chinese descent. People of Chinese descent are not always that great on having like a bunch of, um, oh, up, yeah, ah! Sometimes that happens to me. Like I'll put it too far down, and then I'm like trying to remove it. Okay, that's good. Um, so we don't have like the best eyebrows in the world, and a great way of seeing that that's actually accurate is if you remember like back in the early 90s and stuff, all the Asians used to like tattoo their eyebrows on, and then their eyebrows would turn blue. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. You've seen Asian people, especially like people from the Orient, or like China, Southeast Asia, Japan, that had those blue eyebrows. They turned blue and then green. And the reason that that happened is this. with tattoos, you're not supposed to expose them to the sun. What ends up happening is the pigmentation starts burning out and it starts to lighten. And I guess at first people didn't know that, so Asian people weren't putting like sunblock or anything on it, and then they would change colors. So I put, sorry, going back to the eyebrows, I put them in, I try and do them pretty lightly, just so they look more natural. You don't want to do something that's like super overdone, you know? At least I don't. And then I use the back end, which is this guy, and I just kind of like run them through. What that does is it lightens it up so it's not so apparent. Then I use, they always say the method is you're supposed to take your pencil and go from like the corner of your nose out to the outside of your eye and go straight up, and that's where the arch, it's over here. The arch is supposed to be on your eyebrow, and mine are like nowhere near there, so I normally draw it out to that point, right? And then you go from here to the outside of your eye up here, and this is where your eyebrow is supposed to end. So then I will, because I really don't have the outside of my eyebrows, I will draw that in to here, right? And there you go. You got a whole eyebrow, people. The eyebrow is looking pretty good. And I just fixed the top here so it's like a nice shape. Yep. And it looks good. Okay, so that's one down. Then we do the other one. So they say like eyebrows are supposed to be sisters. And mine are like cousins, but they're like eighth cousins, not even like first cousins. So I have to like, one of them's a little higher than the other one, so I typically have to come in and find the point, right, where they kind of match up. And then you find the point down here where they match up. And you kind of draw that sucker in there, right? And you do it pretty lightly, and then I will clean up the top so that the line looks straight. Put a little bit more up here. Go down a little. Okay. And then we'll do what I did before and just kind of like use this and thin them out so they're not so, like this, not so noticeable that they're not real. So you go like this, draw them up, then we'll check here to the outside of the eye. This is where it should be, so we'll go out to here. And then we'll go here, outside, and this is where it's supposed to end. So we'll kind of just do one of these and draw them in. I have considered, I know people are probably out there wondering like, why doesn't he do, they have like these new eyebrow tattoos. I think it's called like microblading or something, and it actually looks like hairs. I've been considering doing them just because I have to draw in so much of my eyebrows, and I don't like the fact that people are able to kind of like, well, that it takes me so much time, and B, you know, I am having to pay a ton of money for eyebrow pencils all the time because I have to use so much of it. So then what I do is I just kind of like tap these in, and after a while, and I wipe away the excess, and then you see they kind of just disappear. Same here and here, right? All right, and then I think there was some back here, and then here. And I do two types of makeup. One I do, which is like my daily thing, which is I just do that. I do eyebrows, and then I will take this, which is Forever Makeup. Anybody that's my friend knows that I love Forever Makeup. And this is their full coverage concealer. And I just do some in the corner of my eye, going down into underneath my eye, right? Like this. And typically I let it sit for like just a couple minutes, and then I will just blend it all in, right? What that does is it just kind of like wakes the eye up, you know? And it also covers those dark circles. There you go. Big diff. Do the same here. And bring it all the way out. I normally bring it all the way up and out just to kind of like accentuate my cheekbones a little bit instead of highlighting. Yeah, sorry. As I look at it, it's like this one down here has a little extra. Sometimes when it has too much, if you use this, it just kind of like lightens it up a little bit, and then they're not so, you know, noticeable. So this is like my one. This is what it looks like for one. And this is my one is considered like my day look or my everyday look. If I know that I'm like doing something like you guys, I will typically even go here with my highlight or with the concealer just to highlight it all a little better. And here, oh, it looks crazy, right? And then I do more in here just to kind of like highlight the inside of my eyes because that's where the darkness is. And I let it set. Why do I let it set? I let it set so that it becomes a little thicker, you know, and before I smear it. And when it becomes a little thicker when you smear it, the coverage is just a little bit better. So I go like this, right, down into here, right, like that. And then blending for me is a big thing. A lot of people use those beauty sponges to blend it all. I don't. I am, I guess, from like an older school of makeup thought, which is, I remember once I was going to do or get makeup at Sephora, and the Forever makeup consultant was there, and she said that she preferred to use her fingers to do her makeup because when you use a sponge, you lose so much product, whereas when you do your finger, it's not, you don't lose as much. Then I go up and over the eye. I normally do half of my eye into here, right? And that kind of like opens it all up. And blending. There's that video, the ladies like blending. Yep, so like that, right? Then you just kind of look at it, make sure it's even. This side has a little bit too much here in the crack, so we'll just kind of blend it out, right? Like that. And there. Okay, then you got, see, it's like a nice highlight. My face does not probably look as good today because, as I said, I have the whole thing going with my allergies. And then sometimes if I'm like going out, and I know people will be taking pictures of me, and for you guys, I'll do some here and some here. Just to lighten this up and really like highlight my nose, and then just a little in here just to highlight the brow. Could use a little bit more. Oh, probably too much. No, I'm just kidding, it's not. A little bit right in here to highlight the brow. And then I do it in like a semicircle up here and let it kind of melt away. And then we go right into the nose where I highlighted. Right, like that, okay. And we're looking good. All right, good. Yep. And then I just like check it, you know, you wanna see where you're missing it. If you're missing it, check the hair a little bit. Yeah, hair looks good, okay. Then I will go, hold on. Oh, I got these new makeup removers. They're really great. They're one of these ones in the pack. This brand I like better. I mean, typically for people like me who have like allergy problems, I've realized that it's the fragrance that really gets me. I'm allergic to, one of the things I'm allergic to, I don't think I told you guys, is lavender. And lavender is like in everything. So I will normally avoid fragrance because the fragrance is typically lavender. Then I use a little bit of a bronzer, but it's like a highlighting bronzer. And I just come in here with it. It kind of just darkens this up a little bit and blends it a little bit better right in here. Sometimes depending on what this all looks like, if it's like not too good on the day that I do it, I will actually use like a little bit of a brush, and I'll come down with the brush just to kind of darken things inside of here, you know? But it's just a bronzer, just an easy bronzer. It just helps to like kind of better contour everything and make things look a little bit more severe. Then with bronzer, I normally take it all the way out to the ear, like in here and all the way out to the ear. The reason that I do that is if you've ever seen some of the people that do contouring, like their ears are like really light, and then their ears are really light, and then the rest of their face is like nice and bronze and dark, and I don't particularly think that looks good. The only thing that I'm missing, which I ran out of, is there's another little palette by Makeup Forever, and it has like this dark, deep chocolate brown, and that I do like around here. And in here, and what it does is it just kind of, especially on the days like today where I've had an allergy incident and my face is all swollen, it just gives it just a little bit more contour so that my face isn't, so flattish. So yeah, I'll do a little in here too. Little in here too. A little lighter color. Sorry. And then a little here. I'll also do sometimes, in addition to doing it here, I'll also do some along here, just to highlight in here. I'll just use what's left on my finger. And that just, gives your face just a little bit more, a little bit more zhuzh. Anyway, yeah, so that's typically what I do. Then I'll just use my little thing and wipe the makeup off my fingers so you don't get it everywhere. One of the issues with being a man, sorry, got church. Woo, sorry, gotta plug this in. One of the issues that I have as a man that wears makeup is I will typically have to, it's so hard, I'm trying to get it. I'll typically have to be careful when I like hug people, because people will come in for like a nice deep hug. And when you come in for a nice deep hug and you've got makeup on, you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna get it all over this person's shirt. So I normally will go real high and I let my, like underneath my chin hit them. If it's somebody that's taller than me, like sometimes a guy that's taller than me will give me a hug, what do I normally do? I will turn my head all the way, right? And I'll normally make sure like right back here is what hits him. And that'll typically stop him from, or that person from getting makeup all over them. So that's what my makeup looks like. I have been wearing makeup for years. Like I said, I've had these insecurities with the hyperpigmentation spots. Even now, you can still just kind of barely see them under. And I do that on purpose. I don't like to do like full coverage. I like for it to look just a little bit flawed. You know what I mean? Because I think that human skin is typically flawed. And I think that especially for a man wearing makeup, it's good to like have that, imperfection, so people don't think that you're wearing makeup. Yeah, let me think. Yeah, so we've talked about the allergens. That's what I was going to tell you guys about. So it's good to be cognizant of the makeup that you wear and how they affect you. It's good to notice, like, okay, like for the longest time I was wearing another makeup brand, and I'd wear it and literally like my eyes would feel weird and I could never figure out what it was. And funny enough, somebody at work was actually like, "Oh, hey, why are your..." She was like, "What did you just do?" And I was like, And it was somebody that I was good friends with, so it's like I just put a little concealer on. And she was like, "Okay, you're allergic to that." And I was like, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah, like when you look at your eyes are all like red and swollen now. So it's good to pay attention to that." That's another reason that people don't like wearing makeup. They know that there's something going on. They just can't put their finger on what is actually transpiring. And it's typically that. It's that they've put on a makeup that they're allergic to, and that allergic makeup, sorry, this is bothering me. Like, highlight on my nose is like not the way that it should be. And see, it's like all over on that side and it's not very even. I normally put it on and then you go straight down like this. And then you kind of just wait for it to dry a little bit. Like that, see? And then you kind of just blend it on the sides a little bit. And see, it looks a lot better. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, so I was kind of like, "Oh, is something going on?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're definitely allergic to it." That's the lady that said that, and it made me realize like there are a lot of makeups out there that I think people are allergic to that they don't know, and that's why they're uncomfortable wearing it, which I think I said to you guys anyway. So it's just good to be cognizant of that. It's good to notice how the makeup feels. You know, if you feel like it's too thick on your face, then instead of doing, you know, one of these thick and creamy ones, maybe you should just do one of the easy liquids that set as matte or something like that. I typically don't like doing anything that sets matte. I think matte looks good. My skin typically is oily anyway. I also like the dewy look. I like it to have just a little bit of shine and sheen. I think it looks healthier and it makes people look younger. Typically when I've noticed that people use the powder setting ones or the matte setting makeups, it like settles in all of their cracks and it makes them look really old. I don't think a lot of people know that of their makeup, and I don't think that they have people in their lives that feel comfortable telling them. Like, I know a couple of people in my life that do it, and I would love to tell them that their makeup doesn't look good, but not that it doesn't look good, but that it's like settling in their wrinkles and accentuating them, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. I guess maybe I should tell them. But anyway, so that's kind of that's my look. That's my makeup look. And I'll look, you know, typically like this one here. You see how it's like coming out a little bit. If it's coming out too much, I'll just retouch up with it. Just a little bit, you know, like right in here. I just put a little in just to fill it, you know, and it just makes it disappear. And I don't use a lot. I mean, that's the thing with makeup. You can always add more. To take away, typically you have to wash your face, and that's like wasting a ton of product. So it's always good to just make sure you get all that stuff done, you know? Yeah, so I just wanted to share a little bit more. I know that I did the other video about allergens, and I thought it would just be cool to like show you a little bit of what my daily routine looks like and see if that helps anybody. So I guess that's it. Thank you. I'm actually considering maybe doing a third video about some other stuff that's going on in my life. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.